We often imagine human character is like metal on an anvil. We assume who we are is forged by massive, singular, high-impact moments. We look back at our lives and point to a wedding day, a cross-country move, or a sudden tragedy, and we tell ourselves, that was the day I changed. For decades, the psychological consensus supported this intuition through a concept known as set point theory. The premise held that personality locks into a firm baseline by early adulthood. Under this model, your traits only move if a massive life event knocks you off course. But recent meta-analyses looking at hundreds of thousands of people over decades contradict this. Human personality remains highly plastic across the entire lifespan. Our characters aren't permanently set by a handful of big calendar days. Researchers now have mountains of longitudinal data tracking how people's traits drift and morph over 20, 30, and even 40 years. When you look closely at these numbers, a mathematical gap emerges. Personalities undergo continuous, highly measurable changes over time, yet major life milestones only account for a tiny fraction of that variance. If the massive milestones aren't driving long-term personality change, what invisible force is actually pulling the levers of our character? A landmark study answered that by tracking nearly 5,000 adults over a 2-year period. The researchers measured shifts across the big 5 personality dimensions: extroversion, agreeableness, conscientiousness, neuroticism, and openness to experience. They tracked 25 different life events. Some were massive shifts, like retiring or having a child. Others were trivial daily occurrences, like catching up with a friend or having a minor argument. This chart compares aggregate personality shifts from major life milestones against everyday micro-experiences. The everyday experiences add up to a mathematically greater cumulative shift. The impact of starting college is statistically eclipsed by accomplishing 3 small tasks, and marriage is outpaced by 3 special partner gestures. The slow, continuous accumulation of these micro-experiences statistically overpowers sudden, massive life transitions when it comes to shaping who we become. So, why does a quiet daily habit hold more biological weight than a wedding day? The answer lies in neuroplasticity, which is the brain's ability to physically reorganize its own neural pathways in response to lived experience. Your brain's architecture is built through repetition, not through a single moment of high intensity. When a neural circuit fires repeatedly, say every time you practice a small daily coping habit, that connection physically thickens. Over time, that pathway becomes your brain's biological default mechanism for handling the world. Biological repetition, rather than emotional intensity, is the true physical builder of lifelong character. As these positive micro-habits accumulate over decades, they drive a decrease in neuroticism, meaning we become less prone to anxiety, and an increase in conscientiousness. Psychologists call this upward, lifelong trend of emotional stability the maturity principle. Researchers began testing whether this slow, natural process could be accelerated through active behavioral interventions. They found that focused therapy or digital habit tracking can trigger a vertical spike in growth. In just 8 weeks, participants can induce the trait change typically experienced over a lifetime. Beyond that 8-week marker, more intervention doesn't yield higher results. The change levels out. These studies suggest personality functions like a malleable operating system, one that remains open to architectural changes at any stage of life. This means you don't need to wait for a massive life transition or a personal tragedy to trigger your own growth. You can actively curate small, positive daily routines to rewrite your brain's neural default settings. The person you become is forged not by the rare milestones on your calendar, but by the quiet, repetitive habits of a normal Tuesday afternoon.
Thanks for watching. Make sure to like this video and share it with your friends. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button.